I think one of the things that we're seeing is there's an increased expectation with citizens to understand how their data is used, and beyond that, beyond the idea of meaningful consent, which has really taken hold as a concept that citizens want to be able to opt in and out of consent. They want to understand what they're consenting to, and they want to make that a seamless digital experience. We're seeing more of a concept that citizens also, and the people of Ontario, want to be participants to the use of their data. The concept of not about us without us, I think, is really taking hold. And we're seeing this as government uses data for analytics and for insights. So I think one of the things that we need to think about as government moving forward is the concept of government using personal information and then using that for analytics, for service design, for decision making. How do we involve citizens in that process, and not as a sort of one-way engagement mechanism, but more of a participatory conversation where the people whose data we're using can have conversations with us about, are there biases that we're not thinking about? Are there other ethical considerations? And so I think that's the trend that we're trying to move toward. And it's increasingly important, particularly in our space, we're a social service ministry. A lot of the folks that we serve, they do tend to be overrepresentative relative to general communities, Black, racialized, Indigenous communities. And so I think it's really important in us doing more work to involve them, to be more participatory in the use effectively of their own data. And so that's the one trend that we're working to push on a lot more. I think in that line, the idea of, as opposed to the traditional model where government will use that data and then we have various privacy mechanisms, security mechanisms at an infrastructure level with, whether it be legislative controls, working with the IPC and other privacy partners. I think beyond that, what the steps we now are needing to take is involve citizens more in that use of data conversation. So again, it's as much as privacy and security continue to be important, as much as we're seeing the technology advances to continue to ensure those guardrails are in place, it's more of that participatory citizen perspective that we need to maintain in order to not just protect privacy from breach, but also to ensure that government's using data without bias that may further compound disproportionate impact on communities. I mean, it's hard to walk 5 steps anywhere, and when you're talking about public sector innovation without talking about AI, and specifically now generative AI. That is the big disruptor in this space. Data science has traditionally evolved from more advanced statistical techniques and approaches. The heart of data science has been that, but in recent years, and predating the trend that we're seeing now, you're seeing the evolution of technology, particularly LLMs, large language models, machine learning, a lot more advanced AI, which is still narrow AI, where the machines aren't coming yet, but the use of those processes in data science, I think, allows us to really unlock data and the capacity of big data in a way that we haven't seen. The concept of big data has been around for a long time, but we didn't necessarily have the tools and processes in place to leverage big data with substantive insights. Now for social services ministries, the health sector that have a lot of administrative data, longitudinal data, we can use things like large language models. Considering that there are still issues around quality and accuracy and the hallucination problem is real, but we can apply those tactics to better unlock insights, to better understand what is the impact of government intervention, what is that return on investment, what do outcomes look like. Particularly, I think the opportunity is looking across different domains. As we think about social determinants of health, it's not just our ministry or the Ministry of Health or housing. All of these things sort of come together in a holistic way and determine people's outcomes and how they're successful they are and their different life attributes. So it's really the use of these new age AI machine learning processes that we can apply to generate a lot more insights. And then carefully appreciating bias, we can start thinking about bias and accuracy. We can start thinking about how do we slowly continue the conversation around applying AI to decision making, because that's where a lot of the risk is and a lot of concern is. We have to be careful about how we apply AI and that there isn't a black box making decisions around eligibility or making decisions around how much payment a person might receive or the type of support people might receive. But the opportunity is now to test and experiment into that space to make sure that what we're building is more accurate over time, that we can understand the methodologies being applied and use those processes to augment the human capacity needed to deliver services for people. It's a great opportunity. I think public sector network is a place where it's an opportunity for me to reconnect with a lot of people, and now face-to-face finally, with the pandemic sort of subsiding in a way that we can meet face-to-face again. It gives us an opportunity to understand what's going on trend-wise today in the innovation space, but I've been to data events and other conversations where it's really interesting for us to understand what's happening at other levels of government. And there's just a lot of good people here to talk to and shake ideas with the vendor community as well, particularly with us in the data space. And given how emergent the discipline is in data science and AI and machine learning, it's always an opportunity to talk to people, to gain new perspectives and look for new opportunities to work together.